everyone, I am Dixie from Dixie's Corner, and today I am ranking all 21 villains from Disney Villainous. Number 21 is the very bottom, meaning I really don't care for them, and I'm going to work my way up all the way to number 1, which I'm sure you guys know who is already on there. 21 is Lotso. So Lotso's objective is to have 4 heroes with 0 strength and Buzz Lightyear at the Caterpillar Room. So Buzz Lightyear is a guardian, but he can also be switched to ally mode. So one thing that I don't really care for Lotso, which is why he's on the bottom, is Rex. So when Rex is moved to the Caterpillar Room and he doesn't have any negative strength, which would cancel out what he does, which is he can't be targeted when other heroes are at his location, and he can't lose strength when other heroes are at his location. So if he is at the Caterpillar Room, you pretty much are screwed until you can find Stretch, which moves him, get him to negative strength, and move him back. One other thing that I really don't care for Lotso is that he doesn't have more than 4 heroes. He literally has 4 heroes in his fate deck, and that's it. The rest are effect cards. So you have Rex, you have Jessie, you have Ham, you have Woody. Those are your 4 heroes in the deck, and if you get them to like 0 strength, the claw can come out. So the opponent would choose a hero with 0 strength and discard them and reshuffle them. So like Rex would keep getting shuffled back in, and there's no way of getting him back to 0, or you pretty much have to hope that he's a force play. The other thing I really don't like is Stretch is the only ally that will allow you to move a hero or a guardian in Stretch's location to any location in Lotso's realm. So Lotso was special. The effect card in his fate deck would discard him, and then you have to keep going through and trying to find him from your discard pile with Smells Like Strawberries or anything like that. The other thing is Something Snap. So anytime your opponent were to discard, Lotso would immediately win if Rex is at 0 and he can move him there, just from you discarding 1 card. One thing that I would personally change is with that condition card is 2 or more cards, like every other discard condition card. So that's why Lotso's sitting where he's at, on the very bottom. Number 20 is Sydrome. So Sydrome is also from the Bigger and Better. He is 20 above from Lotso. If I could put them both on the bottom at 21, they would be. However, I have to pick one above the other, so I'm unfortunately going to pick Sydrome. So Syndrome's objective is defeat Omnidroid 10 and have no heroes in your realm. So one thing that I don't like about Sydrome is, if you look, he is most of his deck is condition cards. And I put him above Lotso because if you look at Mr. Incredible, the heroes in his fate deck can toss around the remote. It doesn't just stay put on one hero. So if Mr. Incredible has it 1 minute and you play a hero that can take it, that hero takes it. And that's part of the reason why he is above Lotso, is because he really incorporates the movie really well in his play style. And then, of course, everyone loves Edna with nutcaps. Love Edna. Had to put her on the screen. But I really like the layout of his board. One thing I would probably change is at Syndrome's lair, I would have put the Vanquish action on the bottom at the lair, and instead of at the Par Resident it being on the bottom, I would put the Fate action on the bottom and the Vanquish on the top. That's just my personal preference. Again, this is all opinion based, so I just think Sydrome is a little too hard to understand if you're new, and he has way too many components that sometimes I even get confused. So, number 19 is Gaston. Gaston has to remove all 8 obstacles, so if you look at the screen, you see the little beast tokens up there. Those are your obstacles. You have 8 of them, 2 at each spot. If Belle comes out, it's kind of hard to remove obstacles, and it is you totally can screw you over. So it could take all your hard work and just put you back to square one. Gaston's on the bottom because I just feel like he has too many cards in his deck that you constantly have to discard, and you have to fate heavier as Gaston to be able to keep up with your opponents. Also, I think Beautiful as Me, because there are so many copies in his deck, he can instantly win just with having 3 obstacles on his board. If your opponent takes 4 or more actions, boom, he wins. I really don't like the characters that can win just like that when another player is taking your turn. I personally just think those kind of characters need more to be able to win on their turn. Just my preference. Prince John is at 18, so he has to start his turn with at least 20 power. Now, I know that is really easy, and Prince John was kind of further up on my list before, but he's kind of moved down because I just personally think that he was just too simple and they could have done more. And when you're playing as Prince John, you are faded very heavily from your opponents, and it kind of ruins the fun of the game. So Prince John can get to his 20 power by using the Sheriff, by using the King's Crown, or by beautiful, lovely taxes. But if Robin Hood or King Richard come out, then sometimes it's kind of hard to get there. Especially when those Clovers of Skies just keep piling up on Robin Hood. You can really not get very far in your objective at all. So that's why he's there. 17 is Ursula. Now, as you can see, Ursula only has 4 cards because I personally think that these 4 cards are the most important cards. You have your crown and your Triton, which is part of her objective, right? So Ursula has to start their turn with the crown and the Triton at her lair. So you have the crown, the Triton, and binding contract for Ursula's lair. There's only 1 copy of that green one. I personally think that Ursula is too complicated to be in the first box, just because if Ariel keeps coming out with either herself, change form, or anything like that, your opponent tends to get very stressed out because they can't defeat her. And I think that personally she should have been put in a later box, maybe with Gaston or somebody like that, who is a more complicated character, and I just think Ursula is just too complicated to be in a first beginner, quote-unquote, beginner's box. So I think also I like that they have the concept of the palace being locked, and if you change form, you can move the lock token to Ursula's lair. However, that kind of restricts her abilities to do very much. Yeah, you have Grow Giant, whatever. But I think in taking away that lock token would have been better. They have more resources and more board coverage. Another thing is that with Grow Giant, you can perform an action in adjacent location, but then she becomes way too fate strong, so she can fate and fate and fate and just keep fating until you are blown into the dust and she can just boom win. I just think that just makes the other person feel like it's not as fun to play. So I just personally think taking away the lock token at some point or putting her in a later box would have been better. Number 16 is Howred King. Howred King has to have a Cauldron Born in each location. So he has to start by claiming the Black Cauldron, playing the Ancient Soldiers, flipping the Black Cauldron over to the power of the Black Cauldron, and then paying 2 power before he moves to play Cauldron Born. The 2 fate cards that I feel are worst in his deck are Fleur de Flamme. So if you have 3 Cauldron Born and you were ready to win, you have the power to win, and Fleur de Flamme comes out, all the Cauldron Born or any allies you have in your realm move to his location. It's ridiculous. It's so stressful. And then you have to keep moving them. So if they play Fleur de Flamme to the dungeon, where it covers that top move action, you either start playing the Ancient Soldiers again, or you just keep moving to the throne and moving somewhere else and then moving to... It's just stressful. The other card I think is the worst card is I Believe in You. If your opponent gets this at the right time and you are ready to win the game or play some Cauldron Borns, that whole hand is discarded and you better hope you draw into another one. There are 5 copies of Ancient Soldiers and 5 copies of Cauldron Born, so you need 4 on your board, so you have like a very minimal chance of drawing an additional Cauldron Board. Another reason why he's so far down is I've never actually seen the movie, so I don't know if this is actually playable to his movie, if that makes sense. I like the artwork. I like his layout of his board. Other than that, he's a lot of fun to play once you get to understanding him. Number 15 is Queen of Hearts. Queen of Hearts is further down on my list because of 2 reasons. One, she's not as fun to play now that people know fading her a lot is what you have to do. And people know that from the competitive world, so if you're playing casually with your friends, it's kind of hard to enjoy her. 2, I think when Alice is out, yeah, you want to vanquish her, but then you don't really have... I mean, you can use your allies, your card guards, or the Tweedles, but you better hope they're at the location she's at because you can't move allies or items with them. Cheshire Cat's kind of a pain. He converts 2 of the Wickeds back into card guards, so you kind of want him to show up earlier on so he doesn't play as much of an effect. But if he doesn't play an effect and you vanquish him for any reason, you can still convert 2 Wickeds or 2 card guards back into Wickeds, whatever it may be. Dodo's really fun. I've kind of figured out a strategy to Dodo, but if you get into a Dodo loop, it's not as fun. A lot of places that I would recommend playing heroes in her realm is definitely the courtyard to cover that move action just before Alice shows up, because if Dodo's out on the board, you can just move a Wicked to his location with the move an ally item. And then I also recommend covering the Tulgey Wood, just because if he can play a card and vanquish either Alice or Cheshire Cat, it's a little easier. And then the second one, or the third one, is the White Rabbit's house, because that's really prone to a location of where a lot of people I've noticed or want to win at, is to just activate their last one, play the card, and be done. So Queen of Hearts is just lower down because I do enjoy playing her, but if you're playing against someone who knows competitively how to play her, she just isn't as fun anymore. Personal preference. Number 14 is Hades. I love this picture. I know it's kind of creepy looking, but this was my favorite picture when I was grabbing pictures of Hades. I was like, ooh, this one. No one uses this one. So Hades has to start his turn with 3 Titans at Mount Olympus. They have to be untrapped. So I usually, when I play Hades, I usually play Argus and Pyros. I like Argus because he gains me power, and I like Pyros just because he's a lava. I like lava. It's kind of funny. But he's also really useful. He can untrap a Titan if he is at the location. The Chariot is very useful. You can use the Chariot to move and move a Titan again, whatever it may be. And this character against Gaston is where I was saying Gaston winning so quickly is very easy. Because once you play that Chariot, you're more prone to taking 4 to 5 actions. And then you're kind of like in the loop of like, okay, well, my Chariot's pointless at this point because I can't even use it without the chance of them winning. So, the 3 fate cards that I feel are the most hurtful are Zeus, because Zeus, if he's played to Mount Olympus, immediately traps those lovely little Titans, and their abilities aren't triggered. Also, Hercules, if he's played in the Underworld and you can't put a mortality potion or get some allies out to vanquish him, you're kind of prolonged for a while. And then Lightning Bolt at any point of the game, whether it's when Hercules is at the Underworld or Zeus is at the Mount Olympus, or there's no heroes on your board and they're all trapped, Lightning Bolt can set you back if you don't have the cards you need. I've kind of grown to like Hades a little more, but at the same time, his fate deck is very prone to being negative, so he's not as fun to play because the chances of pulling something out are a lot higher than most villains. So, number 13 is Dr. Facilier. Yes, Doctor is very easy to play. So his objective is control the talisman and successfully rule New Orleans. So on the top of the screen, you have rule New Orleans, talisman, and cards hotel. Those are the 3 main cards you need to win the game, and you have to be at the Voodoo Emporium. So I've kind of put Doctor a little lower because, again, he hasn't been as fun to play, because as soon as you want to play the Doctor, your opponents fate you so much that your entire deck is in your fortune pile, and the likelihood of you winning is like slim to none. So the other thing I like about the Doctor is the Mass Spirits. I know not many people will say that, but the Mass Spirit is both an ally and an item. So it can be useful to you to vanquish heroes that are 2 or less, or help you vanquish Big Daddy if you need to. But they can be useful, and I like to play them, but at the same time, they're negative because if they're played in your fortune pile and they're flipped over with the cards will tell, they are the only fortune that is resolved. So they just automatically get discarded. So if you flip over Mass Spirit and Rule New Orleans, it doesn't matter because Mass Spirit is the only one that can be resolved. The 2 fate cards that I feel are my hurtful towards you are Almost There and Big Daddy. If Big Daddy's played at the perfect time, he both steals the talisman and he puts Rule New Orleans back on the top of the deck. And then Almost There, if it's played and you get a bunch of Mass Spirits in your hand and you only have, like, say, Rule New Orleans in the deck, you better hope they don't draw Mass Spirits, because that's the only card I think would be put in the deck. So he's just further down just because people are fading him so much that he's just not as fun to play anymore. Number 12 is Scar. I've kind of grown to like Scar a little bit. I think it's all about strategic playing with him, knowing when to play Injustice to prevent Hakuna, or getting rid of the Rafiki stick. So on the top of the top, my top 3 favorite cards for Scar is Injustice, which is his condition card, which can help him win the game, or Hungry Hyena, which is they gain a strength for each other hyena at their location. And then Stampede can help you vanquish 2 heroes at once. It's very useful. So he has to start his turn with 15 strength in his succession pile, but first he has to vanquish Mufasa. Mufasa can't be pulled out of the succession pile with Hakuna because he's a 6 strength hero. So one thing to understand with Scar, I always cover the Gorge when playing someone against Scar, because he can go there, play Long Live the King, play an ally, move an ally, whatever it may be, and vanquish. That is a prone spot where Stampede can help vanquish 2 heroes at once. The other location I like to cover is Pride Rock, because they gain 2 power and that play a card. Again, if they have both Stampedes, they could really be useful to vanquishing 2 heroes at once. So those 2 end spots are primarily where I like to cover. Scar I think is going to be a lot of fun for me. I'm starting to understand his cards more. He's not as prone to being faded as much because people don't want to play heroes. Once you start playing like Long Live the King or Be Prepared and pulling those heroes out, they're going to fade you more to try and put the stick or prophecy or pull Hakuna to move them around or pull them out of the succession pile. Just a thought. But he's on number 12. I'm enjoying him a little more, but not to the point where he's a little higher. Number 11 is Captain Hook. Captain Hook has to defeat Peter Pan at the Jolly Roger. I really like his board layout, and the way he's styled fits really well with the movie. He's so far down just because he isn't faded a lot, because they don't want to pull out Peter Pan. It just depends who you're playing. Some people like to fade a lot to pull Peter Pan out for you and then start getting some heroes out to taunt them to put you way far behind, and some people don't. So you have to play the Neverland Man to unlock Hangman's Tree. Allies such as Smee is very useful, but watch out for Tinkerbell because they can just discard Smee. And then if your opponent isn't fading you a lot, Worthy Opponent is really nice to play too. He's just further down because I just feel like he is too simple and he just needs a little more oomph. So, number 10 is Pete. So Pete, for those of you that remember, Perfectly Wretched characters used to be on the very bottom, all 3 of them, but I'm starting to understand them a little more thanks to Cortosis. Pete is at number 10. So Pete has 5 different goals he can play. So for his objective, he's to complete 4 of them. So you flip them upside down, you shuffle them around, and then you don't look at them, and you place them at 4 locations, so one of them isn't in play. You have things like Rule the Realm, Power Play, Win Big, things along those lines. So the Bandit, I put the Bandit up here because the Bandit can really help you with Power Play or Round Up, Rule the Realm, anything like that. So bandits can be played with one singular card action, but you have to have the cost to play them. So if you want to play 4 bandits, you have to pay 8 power to play them, but you can only use one. You can use that one play a card action to play all 4 or all 3, whatever it may be. The other card I really like out of his deck is the Jalopy, because it gives you that additional gain play a card action, especially if you're trying to win big. A lot of things that I really enjoy about the Jalopy is it can also help you with power play to spend 6 power. So if you have, say, 2 bandits and Jalopy, and power play is at Frontier Town, you could play Jalopy to the service station, move it over with the move an ally or item action, and then pay 4 power to play the bandits as one player card action. Super helpful. And it's really helpful to have anyway, because if your play card actions get covered, you can kind of move Jalopy around to help you in the long run. The 2 fate cards I feel are most effective for Pete's fate deck, is Goofy. He moves your goal token, so if you're really close to winning and you can hit 2 goals at once, say it's Round Up and then the item goal, I'm sorry, it escapes my mind, and you have them set up to where you could win, Goofy can come in and just cover the airport, which is your move and item and fate, and you kind of have to hopefully strategically move things around. The other one, of course, is Mickey. Mickey sometimes has to be played mid-game when he's got like a couple goals down and he only has a couple to go. Early Mickey isn't bad. Late Mickey, sometimes detrimental. It just depends when he's played. I'm really enjoying Pete. I'm understanding his cards more, and he has so many cards in his villain deck that people underestimate their abilities. So he's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying him. Number 9 is Jafar. Jafar's objective is to start his turn with the magic lamp at Sultan's Palace and Genie under his control. So Jafar, I think, is so far up because he can really keep up with any characters playing against. So he has to play the Scarab Pendant to unlock the caves. Then he has to play the magic lamp and move it, either with Yago or the move action, which he only has one move and item or ally action. And then he has to hypnotize the genie for 6 power, 8 power, depending if he has the witch there or what it may be. So the 3 fate cards, hero cards, that I thought were most detrimental for Jafar are Aladdin, Abu, and Carpet. Aladdin and Abu do the same thing. They can take the magic lamp, and you have to defeat or hypnotize them first before you can get the lamp back. And then the Carpet is very hard because if Genie's ready to be vanquished or hypnotized, you don't want to vanquish him, hypnotize, Carpet can come out and really screw up your plans. So, Jafar is so far up, like I said, because he can keep up. He can play Deception on Lady Tremaine. He can play Manipulation on Pete and Deception on Pete. He can really keep up with his fate actions to just be able to discard his hand so quickly and keep you lagging as much as he can. So he's very useful, and I think he can really keep up with any villain that he's put up against. So he's good. Number 8 is Maleficent. Maleficent is getting better for me, which is why she's at number 8. So she has to start her turn with a curse at each location. So the curses are Forest of Thorns, Green Fire, and Dreamless Sleep. The Raven is very useful for her because the Raven can help her get to WinCon very quickly. The 2 heroes that I felt were most detrimental were King Stefan and Aurora because they both can discard 2 curses at once if played correctly. So King Stefan, if he's played to a Forest of Thorns, can move Maleficent to a Green Fire, and both curses are discarded. And Aurora can discard a Forest of Thorns, and if she pulls King Stefan or Merryweather or I think it's Fauna. Yeah, Fauna. She can discard Dreamless Sleep. So she's kind of, even though she's not really shown in her movie a lot, she is really detrimental when it comes to Maleficent's gameplay. You have to be prepared for her. And then, of course, Once Upon a Dream can discard a curse at a hero's location, so vanquishing is kind of important too. So each curse, as I was saying, has its own way of getting rid of it, whether it's with a hero or, like Dreamless Sleep, an ally would be played there, or Green Fire if Maleficent moves to that location. Forest of Thorns is the only one where if a hero of 4 or more strength can be played, that curse would be discarded. So it's all about gameplay. So playing Dreamless Sleep with Forest of Thorns to keep the heroes from getting rid of them. Another thing I would recommend is when targeting her with Fates, cover those move actions as much as possible, because she can move her curses around and really, really get ahead. So she's been a lot of fun for me, understanding her strategy and how to play her. Number 7 is Ratigan. Ratigan, oh Ratigan! He has 2 objectives. His first one is to have the Robot Queen at Buckingham Palace, and then the second one is to defeat Basil, which is why his board says place Ratigan's objective here, because I didn't put the objective cube up because I was just going to tell it to you. So one thing is Mouse Queen can prevent Ratigan from winning with the Robot Queen at the Buckingham Palace. Basil can discard the Robot Queen, and the makeshift balloon can make either one of them buffer. So gears really help you reduce the cost of her. Tools, Flaversham if he's at the secret lair. And then Ruffians I have found to be very useful to move the Robot Queen. Yeah, a lot of people play the makeshift balloon, but I've enjoyed playing the Ruffians to move her because I can go to the toy shop, play 2 Ruffians, and she can be at Buckingham's Palace, and I could be at WinCon like that. Same with like the makeshift balloon, but then it just clogs your hand and it's kind of detrimental. One section that I would recommend covering up is Buckingham Palace, and I also recommend covering up Flaversham's toy shop because the double play card and the top fade action can be very helpful for Ratigan. He's gotten to be a lot more fun. I'm understanding him a little more and how to keep my gears safe with the move actions, and in general I think he's been really fun for me. So number 6 is Mother Gothel. I know. Dixie has Mother Gothel at 6? What? Mother Gothel has been a lot of fun. So Mother Gothel has to start her turn with at least 10 trust. One thing is Rapunzel stays on the board at all times. So she covers actions. She's a hero that stays. Once you vanquish her, she just moves back to her tower. So she's always covering those actions. Up on the top is my 4 favorite cards from her villain deck, which is I Love You Most, Hairbrush, Patchy, and Royal Guards. So you have actually 5 copies of these Royal Guards. Use the Royal Guards to your advantage. Cover your board with them. Use them to move heroes other than Rapunzel. I've done that. And playing Revenge to vanquish them. The 2 cards I feel like they really are like, ooh, curses, that really put me back a lot are Aging. They can discard the Hairbrush or that Royal Guard. And then Everyone Has a Dream really takes a toll. I know it just has 1 trust, but if you're like almost there and all you need to do is play Hairbrush and play Misdirection and you're at 10 trust and it doesn't matter because she's at Corona, she's ready to go, you win, Everyone Has a Dream, bang. There's a lot of copies in there. I believe it's 5 copies of them. So the likelihood of that being pulled is very, very high. Patchy, I like to play Patchy towards the middle of the board, or any Stabbington towards the middle of the board, because if any heroes like Flynn Rider, King and Queen, Maximus, any of them come out, you can just move them left, right, whatever it may be, and vanquish or revenge them. So she's become a lot of fun. I'm understanding her objective more. I'm understanding that she can still prolong her opponent quite a bit. and keep up with the fate actions if she can get those allies out very quickly. So she's been a lot of fun. Number 5 is Cruella de Vil. So Cruella has to start her turn with at least 99 captured puppies. As you can see, those are what the tokens look like. My 3 favorite cards obviously are Jasper Horse and the Roadster. I think they're most useful to Cruella. She does a lot of discarding. So I think her most popular locations are Radcliffe House, Milk Farm, and Hell Hall. I don't see a lot of people using Countryside a lot. I've started my strategy using Countryside more because it's been a lot more useful for me. Yeah, you have to discard a lot, so you go to Hell Hall and Milk Farm a lot. But at the same time, you have to be able to move those puppy tokens around to your advantage, whether it be Horus capturing 1 or even Jasper capturing 2. The bottom 3 are the 3 most detrimental fate cards, which are Perdita, Flew the Coop, and We're Labradors, which take captured puppy tokens and return them either to the supply or to her location, like Perdita. And then We're Labradors takes the puppy tokens off of the board entirely. So, I think the other heroes are okay because you can either move them around or use the Roadster to move the tokens around to prevent Pongo from not allowing you to capture them. So she has a lot of cards that are useful, but at the same time, I think she has some cards that are just bleh. Like, oh, we needed to put this many cards in there, so let's just add this one and hope for the best. The other one I really like is the telephone, but I think the Roadster is more prone for than the telephone. Like, you need that one more. So she's been a lot of fun. I'm understanding her gameplay, and I'm understanding how to get around those heroes, who to vanquish, who to not to vanquish. And another thing I would recommend, not fading her so much, because sometimes you can get rid of Perdita and Flew the Coop very quickly and not be able to pull them back out. So I just recommend waiting for her to get going before covering all her locations. Just my recommendation. Number 4 is Madam Mim. She was our other new character from Bigger and Better. So I like her. She's a lot of fun. So Madam Mim has to defeat all of Merlin's transformation. So the transformation, such as the mouse Merlin, get played to the dueling ground every single time. But they can be moved around with the Move a Hero or with Knowledge and Wisdom. So there are 7 transformations, and the rest of her fate deck are effects, such as Knowledge and Wisdom, Merlin, and then the 2 others. So transformations such as Rattlesnake Mim are only supposed to be used on certain ones. So Rattlesnake Mim is only supposed to target Mouse Merlin, which is why I put them up there together. But wherever you play these transformations, you gain a vanquish action. So you don't have to use Rattlesnake Mim's vanquish action to vanquish the mouse. Like, you could use the tiger's vanquish action and use Rattlesnake Mim to vanquish the mouse, wherever they may be. The other way you can get rid of them is I'll Make the Rules, which is 4 power, best 4 power I've ever spent. Defeat any Merlin transformation. So if you don't have Rattlesnake Mim, thanks to Germ Merlin, then you can just play I'll Make the Rules and get rid of the mouse yourself. And whenever you get rid of a transformation, a new one gets played to the dueling ground. You can have as many transformations out as you want. You can have all 7 of them out if you want. But I just recommend keeping like 2 or 3 out, not all 7. The condition card I really enjoy is as big as a house. So you gain 2 power if your opponent gains 2 or more power. Very useful. One thing that I would or recommend for Madam Mim is keep her transformation deck separate from her fate deck. Yeah, it's separate now, but her fate deck is only like 8 cards, I think. Yeah, it's only 8 cards, and all of them are effects. Why not have the 15 cards in the fate deck? Have Merlin as a hero, have Arthur as a hero, and Archimedes as a hero to start and, add some heroes in the deck, whatever it may be. Keep the action of Merlin the same, like choose a random Merlin transformation and put it back in her deck, or her Merlin transformation deck. Why not have all 15 cards? Something that will help cover up some actions. Yeah, you have knowledge and wisdom to move the transformations around, but I think her villain deck is too strong for her fate deck. That's just my opinion, but she is a lot of fun. She's easy to understand, and I think she's a good character for anyone who wants to start out with her. Number 3 is Evil Queen. I chose this picture and now looking at it, she kind of looks like she's drunk. Anyway, so Evil Queen has to defeat Snow White. So to do this, she has to play all 4 of her ingredients, find the magic mirror, activate it, gain enough poison. Poison is taken from her, either from the supply, if a card states it, or comes from her power in general. So she has to have a lot of power to defeat Snow White. So if Doc comes out, or Pickaxe, or any of these dwarves stay out, she gets big buffo Snow White. Another thing that I would recommend for anybody that's playing Evil Queen, vanquish the dwarves. Use those take a bite actions, like especially with Dopey or Bashful. Definitely Bashful. I would keep Happy on the board if he's played too early, because that Happy reduces poison by how many heroes are out there. So if you have enough to defeat Snow White and he plays Happy along with like Sleepy, then all your poison's gone. All that hard work is gone. So I always recommend vanquishing your heroes, the dwarves. I would definitely keep like Sneezy and Happy out, especially if you haven't played the Magic Mirror yet, or you haven't got to the point where you want to defeat Snow White yet. I've seen people buff Doc up really big, so play your Huntsman. And so the best thing I would recommend for her is vanquish the heroes and gain power. Gain as much power as you possibly can with either Old Hag's Cackle or Black of Night, or even like Thunderbolting Old Hag's Cackle or Black of Night. Gain that power quickly, because the quicker you gain that power, the less likely someone's going to be able to stop you. She's a lot of fun. Number 2 is my girl, Lady Tremaine. So you have to marry either Drusilla or Anastasia to the prince. I usually always pick Anastasia, because that's how the 3rd movie ends out, is Anastasia's the chosen one. So you have to find the invitation to play the prince, and then you have to move Anastasia into the ballroom to activate the wedding bells and win. Sounds easy enough. But if people like Fairy Godmother, Jacques, or Glass Slipper come out, it tends to get a little difficult. Playing against Lady Tremaine, I always recommend covering like Cinderella's room and the castle, because Cinderella's room can get her to win con very quickly, and you want to cover those discard actions, or keep that location of the discard action very minimal. So even if the castle's covered, she can only gain 1 in fate. Yeah, she can keep up with the fates. Yeah, she can bury you into the dust. But I think if you fate her enough and keep up with her, even with practical jokes, Fairy Godmother's going to come out at some point. Jacques could possibly discard the wedding bells if Lucifer is not there. So there's so many ways she can be played, and so many ways that I have played her differently every single time. So I can't even give you like a strategic way of playing her, because I play her different every single time. My best recommendation is definitely hold on to your jokes till the end, or if you know Fairy Godmother's on top or whatever it may be. So that's why Jafar's so far up, because against Lady Tremaine, he can pull out Fairy Godmother with deception. So she is really good against any character you play against, and a lot of characters are really good against her. So I really enjoy her in general. I think her card is great. I think all her characters and heroes are great, and everything just plays really well for the movie, especially the 3rd movie. So, and number 1 is my girl. You know it. You all know why. I love the 4 fate decks. Oh, let's rewind. She has to defeat Cusco using Krunk. It's very easy. I love the fact she has 4 fate decks. Did I mention that? I like superiority. I like Smash It with a Hammer. The children, the artwork, everything is amazing. I like the setup of her board. And no matter where you play a hero, she always has to change her game plan. Another thing that I've learned with Yzma is Chicha is so bad at the palace. So bad at the palace. Because if you can play the dagger or anything like that and you have just enough power to play it, boom, gone. It's all gone. I think people underestimate Chicha and her ability. Superiority, I definitely recommend looking at your decks. I have really good luck, as Cortosis would say. I have Yzma luck. So, I don't know. She's just a lot of fun. I like the layout. I like that she's different. I like that she has 4 Fate decks. That's probably why she's my main, and she will always remain my main. So, that's Disney Villainous. That's my ranking, guys. But I want to know, who is your favorite villain and why? What is your ranking with the last 21 villains? And do you expect there to be another box? And who will be in it? I'd love to know.